We are live. Simone, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so we are live and we are going to do the 43. We are going to speak about it as the gene key, as the human design gate, and Simone is going to bring through the consciousness of this, the soul archetype, you could say, of this archetype.
We're going to have a great time. How many profiles are we going to look at today, Bella?
Well, today we're actually doing. Oh, we're actually thinking we're going to do different things, Simone. That's why you're waiting for me to talk, and I'm waiting for you to talk. Now I understand. We are speaking about the 43, the archetype of the 43, and on Monday we're doing, what is it? The 6-2? No, the 5-1 profile. So if you are on here, this is like a great way for you to actually say we're doing profile readings every Monday at 7:30 Eastern time. And there are posts about it where you can post your profile. If you have a 5-1 profile, that's what we're doing next Monday. And then we're going down in the profiles. After that's going to be the 4-1 and the 4-6. We're going like from the highest to the lowest, you could say. So tune in here on either here on Unlucky Design or on all of the other places that you usually find us.
So today we're going to talk to the archetype or soul of the 43. So let's see what the 43 has to say. I'm getting some downloads right now. And, we love it when everyone participates and asks questions. And we've learned that great questions bring in great wisdom. So we love it that you're here with us. Thank you so much for co-creating. And let's have some fun with the 43. See what comes through. So the 43 gate. Gene key. Please communicate with us. Healing. Wisdom. Expansion. Growth. The highest good. Well, the first thing that I see and feel is the 43 shows itself to me. And then it's like a sacred geometry is spiraling off of the 43's head. And for a minute, I felt a bit dizzy. And it feels a bit like, in a sense, confusion. That spiral, and I'm just going to share with everyone that this eagle is just flying by my window just now. So when the eagle flies by, I know freedom is with us. So we have an eagle with us flying with the 43. So when this geometry spirals around the head, it starts about, just above the neck, and it's spiraling. And I felt a little bit disoriented in my body, and I'm a little dizzy for a moment. And what I feel is the intense focus inside of myself. Like, this geometry brings me inside of me and has me focused internally. And the 43 says, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you know when you go inside of yourself? And the 43 says, really tune in. Drop your awareness, however you're perceiving, drop it right down into the heart. And he's asking me to focus. Do you feel your heart beating? Do you feel the pulse of your heart? Do you experience the vibration of it? What knowing is there for you when you come right down into your heart. You're not listening to anything else, no environmental static, no distractions. It's this sound chamber that I'm in that is, in a sense, of my own geometry. And it feels like my own web of life that is circling around me and helping me to tune in right into my heart. And the 43 is asking me, how are you experiencing this? Get specific, it says. Notice what you notice. And he's making the contrast of, I'm not asking you to compare yourself. This isn't about anybody else. This is really about the tuning into your own heart. When that field, that geometric field that's spinning around me, has me so focused within that I almost forget that there's anything outside of me. And he exhales when I said that. And he says, that's it, the exhale. Exhale with yourself. And I don't know if you can see it, but he has me like almost stroking my heart, touching my own heart, caressing my own heart, really feeling into it. And he's like, it's almost like he wants us to feel our whole heart, not just the front, not the back, but energetically wrap, just really caress our own hearts and experience them in the way they want to be experienced, as the gift that they are. And he's like, notice it. Is it smooth? Is it bumpy? How does it pulse? What's the vibration? And the more I focus on just what's there, the more I notice how much is there, the more discovery I'm making within myself. And there's more exhale, there's more breathing, more relaxing into our own hearts. And he's like, what do you hear? What's the whisper? And it reminds me of the whisper on the wind when I'm so connected to Gaia, and I'm so connected to the moon cycles and the wind cycles. It's like the whisper on the wind when the wind shifts, and I'm so connected with Gaia. I know what the wind shifts are saying to me. And he's like, that's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you to be so in love and so in tune with and so ready to intimately connect with your heart that you understand the breeze, the whisper, the silence on the breeze, and that you feel that within you. Your brilliance is in this pulse, this vibration, however it comes alive for you in your own brilliant way. And what I'm noticing as I'm holding my own heart, it's almost like off the back of me, what I feel is all this pressure lifting, just falling away, leaving me, coming into the freshness of myself. It's like, without all the pressure, the external noise, I can literally feel the inside of my heart and the outside of it, or the way that it vibrates through my auric field as everything is simply falling away because I'm attending to the vibration within me. And the 43 asks us to breathe with that vibration, to breathe into it. And he says, notice the freedom, notice the unwinding, notice the openings, notice the spaciousness. And as he's making all these noticing within me, it's like I can see the waveforms that were so compressed were opening up space between the waveforms. And I feel the juiciness of that space between the waveforms. And he's saying, this is where the epiphanies are. This is where the magic lies. When you allow yourself to breathe into the space between the waveforms. I suddenly saw the word celebration. And when I saw that word celebration inside of the space within my own waveforms, what I realized was I was experiencing each of you, and I was seeing the space, experiencing the space within your own hearts opening up. And it's as if when we open up to our own space within us, we have access to the space within each other, the brilliance within each of us. And it's not that I'm not, there's no effort, there's no trying, there's no intention for that. It's just there. And it's not noise, it's like just awareness. And it's the awareness of the beauty of each of your hearts and the beauty of you opening up to the space within you where the epiphanies reside, where your brilliance, where your insights live and are waiting to pulse and come alive within you, within the world, within the field for all of us. It's like as we open up to that space within us, we're all breathing the space in ourselves. We have access to this place of miracles and brilliance, the divine sacred gifts of us all. And the 43 is saying, rest here. Don't rush. Embrace it. Lean in. Lean in. Lean in. Breathe. And the 43 says, the more you revel in this space, the more you rest in this space, the more you commune with this space, the more you live it. It is, in a sense, the sacred union of you. Bella, join us in this space.
I'm feeling my heart. And I was going to say something kind of funny around the 43 and how he made that little play in the beginning with us. Just kind of a trickster in a way. And then he has his own agenda. But what I'm feeling into right in this moment, I remember in the beginning of the year, so 6 months back when we were on the other side of the astrological wheel, we were in the 23 and we had somebody was writing with us for that one. And he said it was the high priestess. And there is something that I'm feeling now that you're saying sacred union. If this is the rebel and it's like the rebel of the heart, and that was the high priestess. There is this quality in 23 apparently like waiting and gestating. I mean, I think it's the whole channel somehow, because they are both a channel and they are opposite in the wheel. So there is this quality in those two archetypes where you can have patience, you can gestate, you have the egg with a hen on it, but there's also this rebel that is a genius or a freak. And I think that in this world, to be completely anchored in the heart and to see the divinity in everything, that is like, that's really a quality that we haven't gotten to yet. And I know that many times I've tuned in and I wanted to be practical with you, Simone. I'm like, what about everything that's going on in the world? What about this? What about that? And we have people often that ask those questions. And it's almost like either nothing is divine or everything is divine. So it's when the 43 looks at the world, it looks through the heart and it says, I recognize the divine in you, in you, in you, whatever it's looking at. That's what I hear. And I just feel like we're not so used to that, because we say, oh, that has to be lower, that has to be that. And that's when you are saying, Simone, too, like, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just this.
As you were talking and describing the rebel and the freak, and I thought, oh, wow, that's it. When we are in that space, we are both the rebel and the freak. Where we are in consciousness right now, because to dare to be in that space in the heart is to dare, in a sense, to be divine, which is a rebel, right? Daring to be in that union of the self. That's wow. And it's also a bit freakish to be able to be in that space with everyone else. So when you were saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, I think he just took us through the perfect experience to be both the rebel and the freak, and to feel so much love for ourselves in that daring of the moment. Wow, love it.
And I love it also because I feel like there is a humor in here. We are saying in the 64 doors, when we're writing about this archetype, we're saying is not afraid of the consequences. And that's the thing, like the 43 comes in and it seems like a freak because it's saying, oh, we're going to do these readings. And then we're like, no, we're not going to do readings. We're actually but he, instead of like making it a problem or a complexity, he's kind of laughing and he's not afraid of the consequences. He's not going to be like, oh, let's turn on this live and do it again. It's this humor. And what I'm seeing, it's like, I don't know how many of you that are watching now or they're going to be on, but the 24-43 is a very common channel because it's both, like we say, they are both opposites of the wheel. They are also between the ashna and the throat. And there is something here. I see it in my mom. She has it in the radiance and the purpose in a line 1. And I can see that if she could just tune back in that 43.1, which is her purpose, if she could just come back to the physicality, to the heart, to the home, to the simplicity of that. And, that's the simplicity is the gift of the 23. So 23-43, the simplicity of living from the heart and knowing everything is divine. And whatever shows to you in contrast, it's an opportunity for you to kind of know it through that experience. So humor and simplicity is what I'm feeling from the 43 right now.
I feel so peaceful. The 43 is with us. It's just kind of stepped back and observing what we do in this space. Breathing with us.
It's funny too to see we have so many like astrologer people in the comments. And it's like astrology in a way is so complex. And it's cool that like we're in the 43 and we have all this kind of amazing precision of the insights of astrology in the mix of the simplicity.
Thank you guys so much for all your wisdom sharing. We love it. So are there any questions for the 43?
Well, there is one question about the evolution and the north node. So the evolution is the conscious earth and the north node is the north node. That's that question. And then there are just kind of comments and a lot of astrology comments. So if you're on and you have anything that you want to ask or throw into our conversation, please do that.
I almost want to ask the 43. Sometimes you'll ask a gate, a key, a hex, to take us into the hologenetic profile. And I was kind of seeing that. I want to ask the 43 if there's any place he wants to go into that.
I would love to, yeah, I would love to do the activation sequence. And since I was bringing in the 43, my mom has in the first line in the purpose, like maybe starting in that design earth, the purpose sphere, if you have the
That's
43.
right where my consciousness is. What he showed me was the purpose, and I think we're in the IQ, and then he's going across to culture. So purpose, IQ, culture. So let's see what the 43 has to say. He wants me to call him Union, so instead of him. So what does the Union have to say? He says that 43 in the purpose sphere can be one of the most challenging seats of the 43 because he says that imagine your whole life marrying the rebel and the freak, the energy of the rebel and the freak through the whole life. And he says it could be easy to get caught in the track of one or the other without experiencing really the union, the space between those. And he says the magnificence, the brilliance is when someone who has the 43 in their purpose can, in a sense, experience the space between. And then he shows it to me when we were in that heart meditation that he brought through. And he showed the waveforms allowing breath and space. And he said, that's the place of miracles, right? That's the place of brilliance. He's showing when the person who has the 43 can live in that space between, the moment of rebel and the moment of freak. It's almost like the quantum physics of being in one place and the other all simultaneously. And there's an expanded vibration. Imagine we're looking at the rainbow and it's a really fine line, and then something shifts, and then we just see this massive array, and it just fully opens up. And so he says from there, I would like to take you to the marriage of the IQ to the attractor sphere, which is an interesting way to say that. I've never heard it said quite like that. But he said he takes me to the IQ, and then he says, and the marriage to the attractor sphere. And so he says that it's almost like in this instance, the 43 is showing the masculine energy in the IQ and the feminine energy in the attractor sphere. And he says that he shows me in vibration in my body and kind of flipping polarities, but it's almost like when the masculine is dominant in the IQ, the feminine in the attractor is not at her fullest power. And he's showing when you can marry the attractor and the IQ in a sacred union where the divine feminine holds the hand of the divine masculine. And neither is ahead of the other, but it's almost like the divine feminine's hand or arm is in front of the divine masculine. So there's it would be like 50.05, like where the divine feminine is kind of leading. Oh my gosh, when you flip those energies, the third tone of that marriage, it's almost like those two spheres marry their Siddhic frequencies for you. And he says, okay, let's take that. So think about the Siddhic sacred union of your IQ and your attractor sphere with your attractor sphere, the feminine, of your attractor sphere married to your IQ. And he says, let's bring the third tone that's created energetically from that union, and let's go to the culture sphere. And he says,
I'm just saying, like, I just have to, like, not stop you, but I'm like, this is what it is to be a genius or a freak. Some people are completely going to get you and they're on the helicopter through the profile, and some people are going to be like, what is going on? So this is it. It's like just embodying that quality.
Yeah, I actually almost want to draw it, because I'm like, he's allowing me because I'm quadriclarian. I'm feeling it. I'm seeing it. I'm getting downloads of it. I'm listening to him. It's like, oh, it's such a rich and juicy experience. But let's just, for the sake of union, because Mr. Union wants some sacred union on us, right? So let's see our attractor sphere and our IQs wed, and they create a third tone. And then that third tone is going to migrate to our SQ. And then it's like it becomes even bigger. So it kind of looks like this. So we have our little sacred union there. And then that third tone, that bigger vibratory field, moves over to the SQ. And then look at how that vibratory field just creates something even more magnificent. It's like the union of the IQ, attractor sphere, IQ, and then that union marries the SQ. Wow. Whew. And he's kind of goading us on a little bit. He's like, feel into that. Let's have some of that.
I hope that everybody followed. I almost followed. We have a question we didn't speak about the radiance yet. So we have, let's see, Allison. So she is saying thank you, and the 43.4 is a radiance. And how would you experience it in that position?
Y'all who've been with me for a while know that the shamanic part is when one of the souls starts bringing in things from my life. And the first thing he showed me was this dancing. And I was suddenly transported to when I was on Cortez Island with some dear friends of Bella and I's, Jen Nelson and Elka Finley, who are Canadian. And we were all dancing at the Love Fest on Cortez Island. And that's what the 43 showed when you asked about the 43 in the radiant sphere. It's like I saw the word "let your freak out," dance at the Love Fest, and yet it's not a chaos. It's a grounded dancing at the Love Fest. it's super grounded. It's like you know the truth of who you are, and you're so embodied that you can dance with wild abandon at the love fest and own it, and just really enjoy yourself. You're not looking around at the other participants, worried about if somebody's watching you with your freak vest on dancing. You're just really grounded in your capacity to dance in love, whatever that means for you. Let me go back. He's saying, let me say it another way. He says, when you evolve, when you are so evolved in your genius that nothing takes you out of your gravitational field, you are so grounded in the love of your soul, your body, the geometry. It's not egoic. It comes from a place of wisdom that you're just so grounded that you can celebrate in love the truth of who you are. You can let your hair down, or you can tie it in a French knot. You're completely comfortable in the truth of who you are. He says that's what I would share about the radiance, 43 in the radiant sphere. Beautiful.
Cool. We have 2 more questions, and I just told the people that we have a meeting with the Trivian Life Schools, Simone, that either they can jump on live with us or they have to wait. So let's answer the 2 questions. So the first one is about the evolution sphere, because you haven't mentioned that. So maybe we want to do. Have you do life's work and evolution? Maybe you want to speak about those 2, and then we have one question from Phoebe.
Okay. Well, as grounded as the 43 feels in the radiant sphere, in the evolution sphere, it feels like a free-for-all. If the weaving of the geometry is so solid in the radiance, in the evolution sphere, it feels like somebody got in the basket and unwove it, and all the pieces of the basket are there. It feels a bit like a free-for-all, like an experimentation. And I'm not saying that as a criticism or a bad thing. It's just a space of openness. And he said, he looked at me, he goes, you'd call it a freak show. He's calling me. He's like, oh yeah, you'd call that evolution a freak show, and you would be glad that's not your freak show. But he says that there is an organizing principle in the disorganization, in the chaos of that the 43 in the evolution sphere is there to help you unravel the basket. Do you even want a basket? Maybe you just want some string that you want to swing from on that tree. You don't have to be wound or woven or geometried like everybody else. And so there's this taking apart of the weaving and figuring out, maybe I don't even want this string. I don't need any. It almost feels like I don't need these clothes. I don't need this conditioning. I don't want your string, and so it feels a bit like chaos. And I don't say chaos in a judgmental way. I just mean it as an observation of the energy. And then you asked about what else?
Yeah, to go around the wheel, we would add the life's work as well, but nobody's asking. So maybe just a few words about having it in the life's work.
Well, he shows me the 43 in the life's work is a very internal process. It's almost like where the 43 in the evolution just unravels the basket, the weaving, the geometry, the whatever. The in the life's work, it's more of going in, and from the inside of that weaving, I almost feel like I'm a master knitter, and I'm inside the knitted woven geometry, and I can go, oh, I missed a link here, and somehow from the inside I can fix that, or I see something pulled and I fix that, or I just take it out. But it feels the 43 is taking me to a very internal place in the life's work, and he's showing me that you can come out of that internal geometry and look at it from the outside, but really it feels like a navigation from the inside, from the internal workings of the truth of who you are.
Okay, we have more questions. I kind of have to choose here. Well, Phoebe was saying, and this is kind of interesting. So we are speaking about both the channel 2343 and the opposition, the programming partners 2343. So the question is, if you have the 23 in your EQ, in your emotional, realm, what can this transit now that the sun is in 43? Like, how might that come up for you if you have the 23 and the 43 is activated? And of course, when the 43 is activated, the 23 is in the earth placement. So it's kind of in the soup anyway. But is there anything to say about that?
Well, here was my process. I took myself to the evolution sphere and I felt the 23 in it. And I asked the 43, what do you want to show? And it showed me, what I felt in my body was, imagine the sun coming up, or a big light coming up over the 23. So imagine the 43. Look at, if you have the 43, or if you don't have the 43, just look at the 43 as a way to illuminate the 23 for you, wherever it is in your chart. So use it as a light to see. It's not a lens, but it illuminates the 23.
Mm-hmm. And this is like really interesting. I was just actually answering on Facebook before. Linda has the 43 in her IQ, her SQ, and her Pearl, like 3 times in her profile. So it's the intellect, it's the spiritual and the physical intelligence, and it's also the essence. Like, this is a lot of things in one chart. Is there anything that you could bring through for Linda?
Yeah, the first thing that the 43 does is, imagine that we are on the Star Trek Explorer. And, it's like that scene where you see the spaceship and you see the cosmos, and then suddenly you are aware of the whole cosmos. And it's like the 40, what I felt in my body was the complete illumination. So it was so open. It was like you just want to see everything. You want to be all of that energy, and you have the power, the courage, the integrity, the capacity to be, imagine being on the Star Trek ship, and that nanosecond before the engine takes off and you're out there in warp speed. It's like he's showing me that nanosecond before the experience, and you have this awareness of light and expansiveness and openness and the courage to go there and be there and see it all. And it's just really hugely expansive.
Wow. I feel like we might go back to if you're watching now and we didn't reply to your questions, we are going to try to look at the comments and answer. And if you're watching it after in the replay, we are also going to try to go back. Maybe you can even tag us if you have a question so that we actually get a notification. And I want to just take the opportunity to say, like, if you kind of like this play, if you want to reach out to Simone for her readings and sessions with people where she tunes into the soul consciousness of anything, of you or anything else. If you feel like you want to mix that and kind of have the synthesis with human design and gene keys, we are also doing soul sessions. So I'm just going to post in the comments where you can book if you want to do a session with both human design, gene keys, and soul readings. And is there anything else, Simone, that you feel like we want to share before we close this session?
I would just love to say I love these sessions where we're working with people and we talk to their souls and their soul brings through a message, and then through the human design gene key genius that you and Ashley bring forth, to see how that soul wisdom is grounded in the gene keys and the human design, to me has been mind-blowing. I am always so blown away by the genius of every soul and so illuminated. So we'd love to do that work with you, and we love playing here with you. Thank you for co-creating with us. It is such a joy.
Thank you, Simone, and thank you to 43 for also kind of promoting our profile readings on Monday. That was very good because Simone and I were not so good at promoting things. So thank you everybody. Bye.
Bye.